So let's go ahead and begin and call to order the meeting of the City of Laredo Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 1. Today is Tuesday, April 13th, and it's 5:30. First item on the agenda is the call to order. Second item on the agenda is the roll call.
Ms. Patricia Goldberg? I see her on. Mr. Arturo Garcia? I see him on as well.
I'm present.
Thank you. Mr. Jose Castillo?
Present.
Mr. Kirby Blankman? Mr. Henry Salvigny?
Here.
Mr. Jose Ceballos, I'm sorry.
Here.
And Mr. Harold Alexander.
I'm here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. The next item on the agenda are the minutes from the meetings of February 9th and March 9th. Let's go ahead and begin with February 9th. I have a comment on February 9th. Just a slight change to be made, but on after the motion, Madam Secretary, on the motion where we to proceed with submitting the EDA grant, under that, it begins with Mr. Solving moved to the next item. Hold on a second. Can I ask you all to please mute? Getting a lot of background noise. Thank you. Yeah, that's much better. There's Mr. Sauvignon moved the next item of the agenda and asked Able City to present information. We used the word, Miss Frank mentioned that she had called with Sue. I think we should put her last name there and put Sue Darcy. And then further down in that paragraph, we also refer to Ms. Darcy by her first name. And let's go ahead and put Sue Darcy in, or Miss Darcy. And then 2 paragraphs down, again, we said any recommendations from Darcy, and let's just add Miss Darcy. And then one other change at the very end of the minutes. There was a motion to return and to discuss item 4, except that traditionally item 4 is citizen comments. So I suspect that probably was item 5 and not item 4. Then I have a question to ask regarding these minutes. Was it this meeting at which we discussed with Mr. Ceballos setting up a workshop related to the inner city and specifying downtown, or was it at the last meeting? Do you recall, Jose?
Which meeting?
It's on there. I just saw it. It's on page
So
2.
of the minutes of this see, I didn't see it. I just wanted to make sure it was in there.
February 9th, page 2.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just reading too fast. But if you saw it in there, then I realize then it is in there. Okay.
You really want to hold me to that, Henry, right?
Yes, I do. It's in the minutes. Okay, so are there any other comments or changes related to the February 9th minutes? Sensing none, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes for February 9th?
Motion to approve the minutes?
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
All of those opposed, same
Who was the
sign.
second? I'm sorry. There was no name.
Yes, there was a second, but I didn't hear who. I didn't see the name. Who seconded this? Was it Ms. Alexander? No. Oh, it's Arturo Garcia. Mr.
Arturo made the motion, but who's seconding?
I'll second that.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
Okay, now let's go to the minutes of March 9th. and then I would make a quick observation there on March 9th. Gosh, you're gonna have to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages. So I guess all the way towards the end. And it's the minutes that it's the paragraph that in the paragraph that begins, Mr. Ceballos asked if there was a possibility of using an existing civil engineering already contracted by the city of Laredo. Prior to that paragraph, if you'll go up 3 lines, it says, Mr. Sauvigny continued to say that reason for 3 to 3 members, and I think it's it's a technicality, but it's 2 to 3 members, okay? Then also, the next page, the paragraph that begins with Mr. Sauvigny said that it goes to what Carol pointed out. And I'm sorry, sometimes I know I address you all by your first names, but I think for the minute purposes, we should have our last names. So we could change what Carol pointed out to what Ms. Alexander pointed out. And the same thing applies to the next page when I refer to board members Carol, Patty, and Jose. Let's change that to Ms. Alexander, Ms. Goldberg, and Mr. Ceballos. And then further down that same paragraph, it says Mr. Sneidman said that Jose had made a good comment, that we should put Mr. Ceballos there as well. Are there any other comments or changes to the minutes of March 9th? Sensing none.
Just one.
Yes.
I just saw Mr. Frank, and
Okay.
I think I meant Mr. Rutnovsky.
Okay, very good. Let's make that correction as well. Thank you.
I've been called that before.
Okay. Sensing no other changes, do I hear a motion to adopt the minutes as with those changes?
So moved.
Is there a second? Going once?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed,
Aye.
same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. And I appreciate the minutes that are prepared. I know sometimes it's difficult to get all of this straight, so those are small details, but thank you for making those changes. The next item on the agenda is citizen comments, item 4. Citizens are required to fill out an outline witness card no later than 5:45 p.m. and can be found on the city's website. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. No more than 3 persons will be allowed to speak on any side of an issue. Speakers may not pass their minutes to any other speaker. Comments should be relevant to the city business and delivered in a professional manner. No derogatory remarks will be permitted. I know that we still have a few minutes left, but has anybody signed up?
Not yet, Mr. Chairman. We do have 4 more minutes, but not yet. Nobody has signed up.
Very good. Okay, if they do, please let me know. Item 5, next item on the agenda, discussion with possible action regarding the downtown TIRZ project as prepared by Able City, board member comments regarding the information presented, and any other matters incident there too. And so what we have here in front of us is a presentation of the PowerPoint that was made for and presented to the City Council with a number of follow-up items that we've discussed at prior meetings. So let's go ahead and go through the pages here. Did you want me to summarize these pages as we go through them, or did you want to, Viviana, would you like to cover that?
No, I think you should cover it.
Okay, very good. So we'll go to the next slide, please. Those of you that haven't had a chance to see the meeting that was presented to the City Council, I encourage you to go to the City Council meeting of March 29th. And just, you don't have to go through the whole meeting. Just go look for item 66 on the agenda, and you'll be able to hear the presentation as made. I was very pleased with the results. It was a very short presentation in that it was later in the evening, and I knew that we had a factor of minutes to be able to get a clear and good point across. And so what we did was we reviewed with the city council, the members of the board, and discussed the outline or the format of the district. Thank you. Next slide. What we did was this particular chart gave the council and management's office, city manager's office, an idea of all the things we've been taking into account when honing in the area we're focusing on, which is meaning access to this area, the various streets we're looking at, projects and future projects, signage, wayfinding, etc. Next slide.
I'm trying. Please. I'm having a little bit of difficulty here.
No problem.
How come I can't get oh, is that the next slide?
Oh no, that was 2 slides down. But basically, oops.
Sorry, there it's going. It's going now. There you go.
Okay,
Oh,
it's still skipped it, but that's fine.
That was there, and then that's next.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
on the slide that depicts, it's slide number 10 on the PowerPoint, that shows Zaragoza Street. I thought we were going to take Zaragoza all the way to the monument, the new monument that's being proposed at Santa Ursula, and I noticed that it turns to San Agustin. It doesn't go all the way.
I'm not sure what happened.
I see what you're saying.
Can I, I'm going to take it out of presentation format, okay?
Okay.
Bear with me because something's up with this. I don't know what's happening. Okay, hold on just a second. Yeah, but hold on. Yeah, it's not.
So,
Well,
go ahead.
that's the first one.
Okay, go back one, please. Jose, what were you referring to? I'm sorry, one more time.
You see those 2 blocks between right there on that slide on Zaragoza? The pink should continue to Santa Ursula, really.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, we'll make that adjustment there. So then if you go to the next slide, what we did show, and it's not here, but if you go down one slide, if possible. There we go. There was a slide before this, and the slide before this showed Zaragoza from the outlets to San Agustin Plaza, and we just showed them kind of what this slide shows, a rendering of what it would look like. Here we're showing the monument entrance from this area. And what was good, I think, was important to show were the existing conditions and how it would look after the existing conditions, which I thought was an impactful statement. Next slide.
Oh, hold on, Henry. May I ask a question?
Yes,
so
of course.
Are we doing that one side of the sidewalk as well there in those 2 blocks, or is it just the monument?
We just described the monument at this time. We can ask Able City to look at the connecting of the blocks, but the cost we put in there was monument related.
So that's that 159, and the 159 was figured into the overall construction cost, but not the 4 poles at San Bernardo or the next block.
So
for lighting.
Yeah.
So, but there's still time to adjust this.
Yep.
I'm just trying to, I have the full thing and I don't know why we're having issues with this.
It's okay. If you go to the next slide, please.
Mm-hmm.
So then we showed Tangelo Parkway, and again, I think it was effective to show the sidewalks as they exist, and then the levelness of the area. I emphasized that, and I said it over and over during the presentation, that this, as we discussed through several meetings, that this was a matter of sidewalks, trees, and lighting, sidewalk, trees, and lighting, and I think they got the message there fully. Let's go to the next one. Then we showed them what the power of a monument entrance was like. We were clear that this is not necessarily the monument that would be used, but it was an example. But I think what helped drive the point home again was the existing conditions of the non-sidewalk on one side and how it looked once you had trees and sidewalk and lighting on it. Next slide. We went a little further down and explained that this was a makeover of what was already existing and had already been fixed in terms of pavers and sidewalks, but that we were going to readdress lighting and some trees. The next slide. We discussed the mural, proposed mural locations, the value of murals, and that was a positive point in the presentation. Next slide, please. And then what we did was we explained to the board that we were honing in on the map that you see there and provided a general, we provided general expense costs and proposed that this was a $2.2 million project with a $300,000 contingency, so that we were asking to bond $2.5 million. Next slide, please. So the city council.
Is it changing on your side?
No. So the city council was enthusiastic about what they saw. There were comments. There we go. The prior slide showed you what I just go back.
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay.
So this is what we were talking about, the 2.2 million, 300,000 and bond amount for 2.5 million. The council, I asked the council to direct city manager's office to work with the TIRZ to help us with the bond, and they did so. A couple of council people spoke, 2 or 3 council people spoke. They were enthusiastic. The city manager also expressed his support of the project. So all of that was helpful in this process. I don't know if there are any comments from any of the board members that saw the presentation. I'd like to open it for comments.
Henry, I saw the presentation. I thought everybody was extremely positive, and it seemed like you had done a lot of work to get everybody there. Congratulations for leading the way and charging in a way that was definitely not passive. I think you've been, and I use this in a very favorable way, aggressive in seeking to leverage the funding, and it worked. Your strategy worked, and I'm happy that we're in this place. So congratulations to everybody that helped get to that point with City Council.
Yeah, well, it took a group, and it certainly helps when all board members are singing from the same songbook and giving the same message. We don't all have the opportunity to meet the same elected officials and the same city officials at the same time. So when we do on our own time, and we have it's only a song that we've been preparing for about 2 years now. So if we don't know the tune by now, so thank you, board members, who were able to help put this, help drive the point home that this is an important project. Thank you for your comments, Jose. Then let's go ahead and go to the next slide.
Oh man. Nadia, what did you do to my computer? Nadia, okay.
It is harder than it looks. The slides it takes a little while to click and to show. It's harder than what it looks.
Viviana, it's a 1 billion megabyte file. That's why.
No, it's a PDF. Anyways.
So Viviana, I'll let you take it from here because this is the proposed project schedule that we discussed that you were going to be working on. I believe we actually had a couple of committee members that were supposed to be available to you in this preparing this. They may have comments as well, but let me turn it over to you.
This is basically, this is the schedule that we presented the last time, and all I wanted to do was show you that we're, one of the things that changed is that we forwarded the council meeting because they had to approve the bond for this project. So we began to work on that presentation, which took place on the 29th. From the 9th of March, when we had the meeting with of course with the city, and from that point forward we had to prepare the RF, what is it, not the notice, but
Public notice.
the public notice information, which you have in your packet as well. That was sent to the city, specifically Mia Zulria.
No, it wasn't sent to him. It was sent to.
I'm sorry, yes.
To the chair.
It was sent to the chair, and then it went to for discussion with Mr. Riazul Mia.
And I'd like to interject at this point. I'm sorry I haven't sent it. If I was going to be sending it forward, I need to still do that, and I apologize. I haven't. So that's on my task of things to do there.
I think the next step would be, as you know, we did talk to Mr. Mia about setting up a meeting just for that, and so whenever you're ready to do it, we can join you on that, and whoever else you'd like to be part of that meeting. They did express that they would like to assist us, not only as you mentioned the bonding, but also with the actual procurement, which I think will be helpful to move things along since they're pretty good at it. This is what they do. And so I think that would be the next step regarding getting the notice out there for civil engineers.
I'll reach out this week and get back to you.
So what we're going to do is take this schedule and just, begin actuating it as we go along, so that we know, so that we're pushing, obviously these dates have been pushed forward a little bit. So that's the task that we're going to take on, to keep everyone, ourselves included, on task as we move forward.
Are there any questions or comments from the board but regarding the prior? Let's look at the prior slide, just in case there were any comments.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question about the stakeholder engagement meeting. Is that going to be kind of just a presentation of this is what is happening, or that's the question?
So yeah, I think the presentation, we have laid out the project as we envision it as a board, as we've approved it as a board. We have been, to some degree, not to some degree, to a large degree, open about our public meetings, asking people to visit other partners in the downtown area. While there may be room for some tweaking or some comments, I don't think there's room for a rewrite of the project. So the idea is an unveiling of the project with comments from the public about the project. And unless someone sees this differently, or please correct me.
Well, I'm just switching to the next slide because these are all committee meetings that we need to have, except for the Laredo Health Committee. The other two have to do with pushing the project forward.
Okay, let's look at the first one to begin with. Okay, so because I want to finish the comments by Carol. So Carol, so we discussed in prior meetings and tasks that we were going to be working, and I know that Kirby sent me an email asking to be a member of that committee also, so that we can prepare for that meeting with the stakeholders. I'd certainly like your input because you brought this up at this meeting, the prior meeting, and I think your being on this committee is a good thing because we need to discuss the project goals, scope of work, of what is being envisioned. Am I addressing your question?
Well, the question, I guess, was, I know the project has already been, I guess, decided, but then I heard Ms. Frank say that there's still time to adjust certain things. She said that a little while ago. There's still time to adjust, but I'm wondering how much. I don't know if there's like maybe a percentage goal or something. How much adjustment can happen?
Well, yeah, I think we need more. You need to be more specific because, for example, if what you mean by adjust the streets that we're covering, I don't think so. I think we sat down as a committee, subcommittees. We reviewed this over and over. It included all the streets we've been discussing all this time as a first phase. What we were going to tackle in terms of the items, meaning trees, sidewalks, lights, it's there. So I don't know which. I'd like you to be a little more specific so that I can answer your question.
Well, maybe in this stakeholder engagement meeting, maybe we could start getting the notes or ideas, depending on how much interest and participation we get, of course. Maybe we could start the notes for whatever phase 2 might be coming up, because there are few opportunities that we find where we can engage stakeholders in this area for multiple reasons, right? But so if we are able to have kind of a healthy participation here, and of course there's no way to make everyone happy, but maybe we could start the notebook for phase 2.
I think your point's well taken, and I think that based on comments that come in from the stakeholder engagement, it should inform the development of phase 2 and phase 3 because first of all, there will be a phase 2 and phase 3, and whatever can be tweaked in this will be to the extent that we can change streets or the general projects. I don't think so. But we don't know what the public's going to comment on. So based on the public's comments, we can certainly incorporate it in future phases, and even perhaps this one. We'll have to just hear what the comments are. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, I like what you're saying, and I agree with this, and I think take note, Able City. But this is a good opportunity when we start hearing from the community if there's something of what they're going to be thinking about a future phase and what other things would look like. That's a good point. Any other comments to the stakeholder engagement portion?
I have other questions, but not on the stakeholder.
Okay. Okay, so why don't I turn it over to you, Jose? Go ahead.
So actually, my question is for the other Jose. So we've defined our areas of our project areas by way of the highlighted zones. How much wiggle room or how much negotiation or changes could we make within that zone in terms of projects? An example would be we decide along the way that we prefer to finish off a sidewalk and not do a monument or not do all the trees and all the lighting. How much does the bond requirement, what's the leniency in that process?
Again, look, the way we're going to sell the bonds is going to be a general description of improvements to the downtown area. So we would have some room to maybe defer some projects and do others. So I don't think there will be a problem there in deferring a project and finishing another one, or even substituting as long as it's in the downtown area.
Okay, and I don't, Henry, and I don't mean to go, rehash all our deliberations on projects. That's not where I'm going. But if for some reason through RIA's efforts or utilities or public works, there's a savings, or we can overlap some of the work and they cover something that's already budgeted, and it frees us up, we may want to do something else, and that's something for the I'm glad that says is that this is going out that way, that's broad, so that we can tweak and adjust and this is a 2-year project at least, so we can tweak and adjust as the downtown may demand. I think this board would probably still stick to the zones that have been identified as the first phase, but within that zone we could have some adjustments that make sense financially and practically on the street. So that I'm glad that's the case. I do have, I have questions over the projects specifically, but I think I can get with the team as they conceptualize those further and get the schematics done and all that. I'm not worried about that. I think we're all along very well aligned over how we see downtown developing.
Henry, if I could say something to piggyback on what Mr. Ceballos is saying. Can you hear me?
So the answer was yes. Yes, please go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, all of a sudden I couldn't hear anybody. So he brought up, in the interest of saving money and piggybacking and whatnot. And so I just wanted to throw out there again the idea that we might benefit in long term, in the 30 years that the TIRZ is to be in existence. I think it's 30 more years, right? If we could use our group and the professional nature of the group that we have working for the board to create some design guidelines or standards that the city adopts, so that once these improvements are in place, when they ever need to be improved or maintained, or there's the road department tears up our sidewalk, or something happens to the lights that we put up, that the ongoing maintenance and falls under some design guidelines that are in place, adopted by the city, so that all of the different departments that work and create and maintain downtown, that there'll be some uniformity. And it seems like now might be the time to get those created, because since they're already going to be doing the work to create the projects, maybe now's the time to just piggyback on that and create the design guidelines or standards. I use both words because I'm not really sure which would be more beneficial, or
Very good. I like what you're saying, Carol. Are there any other, before I address it, are there any other comments from any board members regarding the subject?
I support that what Carol's suggesting. I think that's smart. I don't think it would require a lot of investment, because our architects are already going to have to decide on materials and other things. So I think just packaging that so that we leave it, memorialize that for the future, I think that's smart.
Very good.
That way, I as at Laredo Main Street, we do other things, but I know that there were some monies that so many different departments and nonprofits work downtown, and they all have different ideas, and they all have the same idea, right? To promote the vitality of the area and the preservation, the walkability, and making it a place to enjoy. We're all working towards the same goal eventually, and economic vitality, of course. with the design guidelines or the standards, it'll almost help keep the area more uniform and easier to sell as a uniform place.
Good. Are there any other comments from board members regarding the subject? Is this
I'm very much in favor of it also. It's something that we've spoken about years ago, and how it's kind of, we're trying to not do a hodgepodge all over downtown different things. And if the city adopts the same standards, then we won't have that patch look that we currently have.
very good? So we've heard from the several board members. I'd invite Arturo or Jose Castillo to add any comments to that you may have.
I don't have any comments.
Okay. Very good. Well then, why don't we put that in the form of a motion, Carol? Just if you just the idea here, I'd like to ask someone to move that we instruct Able City to add some standards in as they produce the design project for the areas we're working with. Would someone turn that into a motion, please?
Well, I can move that we enable Able City to, or instruct them to also provide some standards to be adopted, approved by the cities to help maintain the area going forward.
Very good. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. None opposed, motion carries. Very good. Thank you. Okay, so then we get to the a discussion we've had a couple of times, and that is discussion with Laredo College regarding their eventual participation to join the TIRZ. As an aside, and I think we've mentioned it in a prior meeting, Carol Alexander, Jose Ceballos, and myself and Able City met with Dr. Solis and certain staff members to discuss the TIRZ, and they are certainly enthusiastic about it. Able City has been following up on this project, and on April 29th at 5 p.m., they're asking for a presentation similar to what we've presented, just to get up to speed on what the TIRZ has been working on. I think if we do meet at their next board meeting to present this idea, we certainly have a win on our side to present on, so they can see the direction we're moving in. I welcome any comments you might have, Able City, regarding the meeting that Dr. Solis has proposed.
Well, first of all, I do think that we should have a prep meeting before this meeting, just because it's the committee members will be in person meeting with the board. I think one member of the board isn't going to be there, the rest will. I've had a brief discussion with Sue Darcy. In fact, that we do not, the LC will not have to post a special meeting or post a notice in the newspaper like the city did, because they are already within the boundaries of the TIRZ. And so that portion of the statute has really doesn't concern them. Basically, they would be voting on a motion, and I'm going to be preparing some language to send to them, well, to send to the three of you to review before we send it to them, about saying that they would move to contribute to the TIRZ for the rest of the time that it's still in existence, and to ask their attorney to create a memorandum of agreement with the TIRZ. And that's all you need.
Okay.
And
So
they would be in.
why don't I'd like to ask you to go ahead and send an email to the subcommittee members proposing a couple of dates, and then the subcommittee members can select from there, and we'll discuss meeting ahead of time so that there is a coherent presentation to LC about this, and they're joining the TIRZ.
Is this a meeting with the board or with the a committee of the board?
My
The
understanding
board.
is the board.
It's the board. They can make a.
Is that a special meeting or is that a regularly scheduled?
No, it's a special meeting.
So it's a special call meeting.
Yes, I don't know if there's other items with us, but it's a special called meeting.
I would imagine there are other items called.
Kelly,
Yeah.
I got a quick little comment on that. I
Yes.
know we're going to be talking about the TIRZ and all that. Part of the big benefit, remember that, the majority of our TIRZ is also NEZ. So, I mean, I don't know if that can be brought up also about their joining the abatement of taxes for NEZ projects, maybe just exclusively to just within the TIRZ, not necessarily all the NEZ zones or something to that extent. You know what I mean?
Well,
Maybe a more targeted, also just as that could possibly be a discussion point too.
well,
So, please-
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. I need to understand a little bit more what Arturo, could you say that again, Arturo? I'm sorry.
The NEZ program as an example is
Right.
is just right now the city is the only one that participates by abating the taxes and deferring the building fees.
Right.
The county is not participating at this point. They were, but then they have a moratorium. I'm not sure if they're going to continue. So to incentivize a lot more into a particular NEZ area and a more targeted approach, especially in the downtown only, maybe consider if LC can consider abating just a targeted CBD area or TIRZ area. So just FYI.
So if I could, one clarification there is in the discussions that we had with Sue and with the reading of the statute, tax abatements like the NEZ should be going to the TIRZ, and the TIRZ would be negotiating with those particular applicants. And instead of being abatements, they would be rebates. That's what we should be, doing now. So there'll have to be a little bit of an adjustment in the application process where the TIRZ boundaries overlap with the NEZ, the number one. I guess it's number one that covers most of District 8.
Let me ask a question of Arturo, and I want to understand, Arturo. So when we're talking about speaking with LC and asking to come in, are you asking them for also the discussion to be that they participate with NEZ?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Very good. I understand what you're saying.
But just in the downtown TIRZ, because there's 4 NEZs
Right, and that's
throughout the city.
And that's the only part we can ask them to do something about. And to go into Viviana's point, and I think Viviana, you very clearly presented it at a prior meeting, that there are already state regulations that govern how you work with this when there's overlapping zones, and how one jurisdiction, because there's bond money involved in this and the repayment of bond money. This is why abatements or anything that affects the repayment of the bond goes through the TIRZ committee for just reviewing the project. It's not that the project would not work as an NEZ or something to that effect. It could be tweaked, but the point is that the body that is one of the bodies that's giving up the money has to be careful because it's already being pledged towards a bond repayment. Your point is taken. Thank you, Able City.
One clarification to what I said is that he is right that it would be really great if they could, well, participate in the area outside of the TIRZ, but I don't know if that is something that we can discuss with them.
Right. Okay. We'll be meeting on that subject ahead of time. So let's bring up that issue in particular also. And then finally, the TIRZ Bond Committee meeting with the City of Laredo. I'm assuming that this is the committee that met with the city manager's office the first time. And this committee was actually myself, Jose Ceballos, and Patty Goldberg, not Kirby Snideman.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll fix that.
Right.
Also, the misspelling to Jose's name.
Yes. That too. Mr. Ceballos. Ceballos. Okay. Okay, very good. Are there any, do you have a slide after this?
Just a closing slide, but this is the next meeting that you all are probably going to have with the City of Laredo to discuss the intricacies of this memorandum of agreement and the bond and all of that.
Right.
And the bid.
And the bid.
And the bid.
Right.
Oh, and the last thing I suggest is that because these are meetings, and I know that they're different people, but maybe not this coming week for the, or not for the 29th meeting, but maybe after that we can set up a day where we meet for like a little mini mini retreat for a couple hours to hash out these other ones, and then we can just, get out of one meeting and go to the next meeting rather than split them apart, especially for you, Henry. You're on all of them. So that's something to think about.
If you coordinate them, I'll work with it that way.
Okay.
Now then, the item that Able City brought up that they had submitted, and again, I'm sorry I haven't forwarded to the city offices. I will do that. I want to copy the city employees from on the TIRZ board because I think you have some specialty on these public notices as well. So before I send this up, I want to share it with you all, and then I'll move it forward to the city manager's office so that we can arrange for that meeting that Able City needs to have with them regarding next steps for the project. Let's see. Any other questions, comments, or regarding item 5 on the agenda? Okay, sensing none, we'll move to item 6, discussion with possible action regarding the monthly invoice submitted by Able City. I believe this was part of your packet sent to us. Does anybody have any question of Able City regarding the invoice they've submitted for the month?
Motion to approve.
It's been moved that we approve the invoice. Is there a second? It's been seconded by Carol Alexander. All those in favor say aye. All of those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The invoice has been approved. Finally, one additional item. When is the next meeting? I just want to go ahead and make sure we get that out there. It's going to be 8. No.
Yes, the next meeting is scheduled for May 11th at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Very good. So mark your calendars for May 11th at 2:30 in the afternoon. I know some of us will probably be meeting before then as subcommittee members. Again, I appreciate everybody's comments and everybody's work on this project. Does anybody have anything to say before we close? Announcements or anything? Sensing none, I will entertain a motion that we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
It's
Second.
been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Thank you very much, board members. Look forward to seeing you later.